I still remember the sound of my father's laughter echoing through our living room like it was yesterday. That cold, dismissive chuckle that made my cheeks burn with shame. Languages? 9 languages? Are you out of your mind, Sarah? Who's going to marry a girl who spends all day with books and headphones instead of learning how to run a home? I was 21, sitting at our old wooden table with my notebooks spread out, practicing Mandarin tones when he said those words. My dreams felt so small in his eyes. I wanted to speak to the world. He wanted me to shrink into the life he had planned. From the time I was a little girl, words fascinated me. While other kids played outside, I collected languages like treasures: English, Urdu, Arabic, French, Spanish, German, Mandarin, Russian, and Japanese. I stayed up late, whispering new words into the dark, feeling alive every time a new sound clicked in my mouth. But to my father, it was a waste. A silly girl's fantasy. Every evening he would mock me. "Look at her, the future UN Secretary General," he'd say to my mother, rolling his eyes. "She'll end up teaching tuition and living in our house forever." My mother would stay quiet, torn between us. I smiled through the pain. But inside something was breaking. Still, I didn't stop. I practiced in secret, took online courses, joined language exchange groups, and even volunteered as a translator for refugee communities. Every insult from my father only made me study harder. I told myself his words didn't matter. But they did. They carved deep wounds that never seemed to heal. Then one day, everything shifted. I received an email that changed my life. A prestigious opportunity with an international humanitarian mission. They needed someone who could handle multiple languages under pressure. I applied quietly, without telling anyone. When I got accepted, I felt a spark of hope for the first time in years. But what I didn't know was that this path would lead me straight into the fire, and force my father to witness the power of the dreams he had laughed at. The arguments at home grew worse after I told them about the mission. My father's face turned red with anger. "You're throwing your life away. No respectable girl runs off to dangerous places for some job. This is betrayal to your family." He called my passion selfishness. He said I was breaking my mother's heart. For weeks, the house was filled with tension. Every dinner became a battlefield. He stopped speaking to me directly and only spoke about me in the third person, like I was already a stranger. "Tell your daughter she will regret this," he'd say to my mother while I sat right there. Those words shattered me more than I can explain. This was the man who was supposed to protect me, to believe in me. Instead, he made me feel worthless. There were nights I cried silently in my room, questioning everything. Was I really being selfish? Was I chasing a foolish dream? But something inside me refused to break completely. I packed my bags with trembling hands and left for training. The work was intense, long hours, high pressure, and real stakes. Lives depended on clear communication in crisis zones. I gave everything I had. My languages were no longer just a hobby. They became a lifeline for others. Months passed. I threw myself into the work and tried not to think about home. Then came the biggest assignment yet. A delicate hostage negotiation involving multiple countries and languages. The team needed someone who could switch instantly between Arabic, Russian, Mandarin, and English under extreme stress. I was chosen. My father found out through a distant relative. He called me in anger, demanding I come back home immediately. "This is not for girls like you. You're going to embarrass the entire family." His voice was full of disappointment and shame. That phone call broke what little was left of my heart. The man who raised me saw my greatest strength as an embarrassment. I hung up with tears streaming down my face, but I didn't quit. I couldn't. The mission began. Tension was sky high. Negotiators were struggling. Miscommunication was making things dangerous. Then they turned to me. In that moment, with lives hanging in the balance, I became the bridge. I translated, mediated, clarified threats, and even caught a critical cultural nuance that almost ended everything. Hours felt like days. But we succeeded. The hostages were freed safely. When the dust settled, the commander, a respected military officer coordinating the operation, wanted to speak to my family. My father had actually flown in with my uncle, planning to pressure me to return home. He was waiting in the briefing room, still convinced I had wasted my life. I stood there quietly as the commander entered. The commander, a tall man with sharp eyes and years of experience, looked straight at my father. The room was silent. Then he spoke 6 simple words that I will never forget. Your daughter just saved us all. 6 words. My father's face went pale. The mocking smile he always carried disappeared instantly. He stood frozen, mouth slightly open, staring at the commander like he had been struck. The silence that followed was louder than any scream. The commander continued, his voice firm and full of respect. In over 20 years, I've rarely seen anyone perform under this kind of pressure the way Sarah did today. Her languages didn't just help. They made the difference between failure and success, between life and death. You should be proud. My father couldn't speak. For the first time in my life, I saw him speechless. The man who had laughed at my dreams for years now stood in front of proof he could not deny. All those years of ridicule, all those cutting jokes, all that shame he tried to put on me, it all crumbled in that moment. I looked at him, not with anger, but with quiet strength. The little girl who once begged for his approval was gone. In her place stood a woman who had found her voice, in 9 languages and in her own heart. Later that evening, my father approached me. His eyes were different. For the first time, there was no mockery, only regret. He struggled to find words. I didn't know, he whispered. I simply nodded. I tried to tell you, Baba. We didn't hug. The wounds were still fresh. But something had shifted forever. He had been forced to see me, truly see me, not as the foolish daughter, but as the woman who rose above his doubts. Today, I continue my work with even more passion. I speak to young girls who are told their dreams are too big. I tell them this story, not because I want revenge on my father, but because I want them to understand something powerful. Your worth is not decided by those who doubt you. Sometimes the loudest mockery becomes the fuel for your greatest success. Never let anyone's limited vision become your limit. The languages I learned didn't just open doors to the world, they helped me find my own voice. And the man who once tried to silence it? He finally heard it loud and clear. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been mocked for chasing your passion, know this. Your time will come. Stay strong. Keep learning. The world needs your voice.